Does 20-minute trading work in any sort of world event or volatile market condition? The fact that 20-minute trading occurs in usually under a minute, the trade itself, gives very little opportunity for a major world or economic event to happen during that 1 minute. You know, the chances of you placing a trade and then a huge economic thing happens during those next 60 seconds that influences the market and throws off your trade, pretty low. But even if it does, we have in place what's called a stop loss and a take profit. So if it does shoot in either direction, the brokerage, the actual trading account, will exit you automatically at the least amount of loss possible that they can get away with. And that works really, really well. So we find that our predictable patterns, being that we're looking for tiny momentary motions, are very rarely affected by what's going on in the world. As a result, people are finding 20-minute trader to be completely useful. You can also, the other thing I want to say is 20-minute trading works both ways. So you can actually predict a drop and monetize it, or you can predict a jump and monetize it. So people are finding that even if the market is trending down hardcore and you catch one of those down drops, you can still profit on it. As long as your prediction is correct. If you predict that it's going to drop and it goes up, you would lose money. If you predict that it's going to go up and it goes down, you're going to lose money. But with 20-minute trading, really all that matters is the last 5 minutes, last few minutes. You're just looking at the patterns that you're seeing that tell you this is likely to do a little tiny pop in one direction, and you go for that. In fact, in 2022, when the market had its largest kind of drop in a long time, many of us had our most profitable year. And in fact, that's the year that 20-minute trader went completely viral. And I believe it's because a lot of hype-based gurus that were trying to teach people trading, they were relying on the fact that the market was just going up, 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 no matter what. Anything you did, you were a successful trader between March 2020 and early 2022. Literally. Like, yeah, look how fantastic I am. So 20-minute trader was a little bit in the background, just being like doing our trades. And then in 2022, when all those gurus weren't living up to their hype, people came looking for something that worked in any market. And as a result, in 2022, we went from about 1,000 followers to 200,000 followers on social media. We went from 3 staff to 15 staff. We went from having delivered maybe 10,000 courses to a couple 100,000 courses, all within 1 year. That was the year we went viral. That is also the year that the stock market took its biggest hit and people lost tons on Bitcoin, on crypto, tons in the stock market, things like that, while 20-minute traders were like, I don't care. Now, again, this is all anecdotal. Do I have the receipts and the numbers to prove this? No, the only thing I can prove is that we did grow the most in 2022. That I can easily prove. I can show you how many followers we had in 2021 and how many we had at the end of 2022. You can see, or how many courses we delivered in 2022, right? I'm only guessing that it came from that situation, that it answered the call of, can I do something that isn't affected by the general market conditions? What if the Fed decides to cut or raise the interest rates? What if there's a war in Iran or in Ukraine or in Israel? Like, what if there is a big fight on tariffs for the oil and energy sector? Is this going to ruin everything for me? If you owned stocks and you were depending on the stocks always going up, there's going to be times when it's going to drop down and it's going to hurt you, right? With 20-minute trading, you're in and out in a second. You're only vulnerable for less than a minute in most cases. And even when you are vulnerable, you have these stops, these brackets in place of like, if my trade goes wrong, I get exited at the minimal loss. Right, so it ends up being actually quite a protectable system in terms of your money. And it really doesn't depend on the market moving up, moving down, moving sideways. It literally doesn't matter. The only thing that could screw up our system is if the market froze and stayed at the exact same value all day, every day, which it's never done since the beginning of time in the 1700s when it first started. Not gonna happen.